Welcome to HIListically Speaking. I'm Hilary Russo, certified holistic health coach and health and wellness journalist. This is an empowering place to explore self-awareness, self-love, and transformation through health, healing, and humor. By sharing life-changing experiences, knowledge, and guests with varied expertise, we'll explore who we are, how we got that way, and what it takes to be a happy and healthy grown-up. Mind, body, and spirit. I'm glad you're here. 20 years ago, I sat behind the anchor desk with a charismatic young guy who, like me, was in the early stages of his TV news career. We covered many stories and shared a lot of laughs on that set. That's good energy between coworkers and friends. But like many in the news business, we go on to bigger markets, better opportunities, and sometimes we just lose touch along the way. So when I stumbled across Jeff Small's Facebook post that highlighted his story as a recovering drug addict, I was shocked. This was not the Jeff I knew. And after reading about his journey from the anchor desk to addiction, I knew holding space for him was a no-brainer. Jeffrey Small is a 2-time Emmy Award-winning journalist with over 15 years in front of the camera, a talent that took him from Louisiana, where we met, to his hometown in St. Louis. That is, until his battle with cocaine and meth left him unemployed and with a lot of time on his hands to spiral down a very dark path. Now, he's an actor, a model, and an outspoken advocate for others in need of hope and healing. And it's my pleasure to have him share his story on HIListically Speaking. All right, Jeffrey Small, we go way back, don't we?
We do, absolutely.
Way back.
Absolutely.
It is amazing when I can reconnect with old friends or colleagues. And, for HIListically Speaking listeners, Jeffrey Small and Hilary Russo used to be co-anchors at KTVE in Monroe, Louisiana.
Probably never heard of it. They're like, where?
Our little small market NBC Fox station back in the day. But, life is a journey, my friend, and you're here, and your story is so inspiring. And I just sharing this space and allowing you to, or giving you the space to share is really a gift for me and the listeners. So thank you for doing that. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Thank you for giving me the opportunity.
So we're here to talk about addiction. This is a topic that is rather close to your heart. And if you would just take the stage here and share your journey.
Sure. So I am, what I like to think of is kind of a rarity in some instance in that, I never was what you would describe as the typical, I use the word loosely, but the stereotypical maybe addict, not the, homeless and, without a job and, strung out somewhere in the streets, I was just the opposite. I was a professional. I, had a very good jobs, plural, had on the outside all of what looked like, a person who had it all together. I could manage for a long time to talk the talk, walk the walk, look nice everywhere. And most people would have no idea that behind closed doors, I was everything but that. I was, interesting enough, I went through high school, all of my young adult years, not using any drugs, not trying marijuana, not smoking. I didn't start, I messed around with alcohol when I got in college, but I was anti everything bad. I was that guy. And then when I got to my hometown, St. Louis, and had my big position of being on the news here, it was a very prominent position. I met lots of the movers and shakers in town, and I started going out. And, once I kind of got in the whole nightlife scene here, cocaine was, to me, as readily available as the alcohol in the bar. And, I was curious, I guess, because it appeared to me that many of the folks who had money, the folks who had great jobs and flashy cars, they were the ones that were doing the cocaine. It was a high class drug that seemed appealing for the first time ever. And lo and behold, I tried it. And when I tried it, I was hooked. I loved it. I loved everything it brought to me at that time. All these new friends, and I had the invites to everywhere, and it was a great time.
Was it something that you had looked at prior to actually trying it and were interested in it, or was it presented to you for the first time you tried it that first time?
No. It took a while for me. I mean, I think just I saw it, and for a long time I just couldn't believe how, like I said, readily available. How much was around, because if you don't know, in some cases you don't know. But once I learned, they're like, oh, that's a dealer right there. Oh, that guy's over there, he's a dealer. And this woman over there, she's a dealer. And I'm like, are you serious? And they're like, oh, they're going to the bathroom because they're doing cocaine. I'm like, really? Right here in the club? They're like, oh, yeah. And, there were after parties, and people were doing it at the after parties. And the curiosity just grew on me. And nobody forced me. I could have said no at any time. And I did say no for a long time. But at the point when I said yes, people were ready and willing to indulge me.
At that point, Jeff, you were already working a pretty well-seen job. I mean, being a news anchor, being a reporter, we're kind of the local celebrities in a way in regional markets, right? So we become the face of in many respects. And that comes with a responsibility, So the fact that you had been introduced to this, that's kind of where I guess the spiral occurred. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it was a fast moving ship, I guess you'd say. I mean, because once I tried it, in addition to the drugs, it was the lifestyle that I kept while doing drugs that it just kind of added to the chaos. And that was, I was going out 6, sometimes 7 nights a week. I was putting as much effort into my nightlife as I did, and sometimes even more than my day job. I would go to work with a bag packed for the club. If the show went off at 10:30, at 10:40, I was in the dressing room. I had my night clothes on, and I was out the door headed for the bars. And St. Louis is a major television market. And here I was, a new face. It wasn't just because it was me, but I was a new face. Here's this young guy. He's on the news. I'm from St. Louis. People were, said, oh my God. So everywhere I went, I had like the red carpet rolled out for me, and it was seductive, I guess you'd say was the word. And and I wanted more. Little cocaine. If I was doing a little bit turned into a lot turned into an excess, and it just grew, over the years. And for a long time, I managed to keep it together until I couldn't.
So tell me more about that. When did the couldn't occur?
So it was probably a couple of years into it. It was things like my relationship was suffering because, again, I put my emphasis on my party lifestyle. I came home whenever I want, or I would sneak out late at night. When I'm supposed to be in bed, just to get to the bars. I wrecked one car. I remember about 6 a.m. coming across a bridge. I was drunk. I was high. The car, I think I let my insurance lapse on the car, so I didn't have insurance on this new car. I wrecked the car and luckily walked away from the accident, but I didn't want the police to find me because of who I was, so I walked away, literally walked away from the accident scene, left the car there, never looked back, and I still owed money on this car. Because again, I was more worried about my image and, oh my God, not this accident that I walked away from and this car that it was totaled, as a matter of fact. I wrecked another car. There were a couple of times at work. One time at work where we had an afternoon meeting. I think it was at 2:30 in the afternoon, which that's late in the day to start your work day. Mm-hmm. I was asleep at 2:30 afternoon when my station started looking for me. Fast forward by, I think, 3:30, police were at my door doing a welfare check on me on behalf of my station because they couldn't find me. Officers came to the door and I was asleep on the couch. Couldn't remember how long I'd been there, how I got there, but I was supposed to be at work.
So you were given some chances. I mean, your
Oh,
station at the time
yeah,
knew there was something was amok, something was amiss with Jeffrey.
yeah,
How do we help them? So they were checking up on you, knowing that there was a problem, and you just
yeah,
kept pushing that envelope, huh?
yeah. Well, see, and here's the thing with my station, and mind you, yeah, they went above and beyond to try to help and support me and keep me going. But the thing of it was is that I had the reputation in the station of just being a party animal. No one knew about drugs or anything, but they just knew,
Mm.
oh, Jeff likes to party. So they did figure I probably just got drunk and passed out, which that was part of it. But they didn't know at no point, certainly then, did they know the extent of my problem. I was just a party animal.
Yeah, I'm trying to go back to our days in Monroe, Louisiana, and I don't
Yeah.
recall Jeffrey Small being
No.
a party animal. Then
No.
again, how many
No.
places do we really have to go?
Right, right, and that's what because where we worked and most of the other places I worked in TV stations, they were small markets. Like there was no big nightlife kind of thing. But when I got back here, yeah, I mean it was just like wow. Even though I'm from here, again, the notoriety that I had and just all these things just created this recipe for either disaster or something that could have been awesome, and it was awesome. This is not just an entirely bad story, but certainly I went until the wheels fell off. As my mother would say, I burned the candle at both ends always. For a good period of time.
And you mentioned in one of our prior conversations that you know uh, that this was not just you. You had been surrounded by family that was also involved with drugs and alcohol, and that goes back to: is it hereditary? Am I just around something negative? How do I deal with this? When now I'm a public face and I do want to open up about it, which we're not even at that part of the story yet,
Right.
because you did still move into heavier narcotics as well.
Yeah. Yeah. The thing with me is that I think always in the back of my mind, like I was telling you about those years that I was so anti-drugs, probably the primary reason for that is based on my upbringing. My father was a drug dealer. He sold sold drugs, did drugs.
Mhm.
He abused women. He abused drugs. I mean, he was at that time just an awful example of what a man should be. And this being my father, I didn't want to be anything like him. I didn't want to be anything like my stepfather, who at that time was an alcoholic. So I had enough examples that you would have thought to make me not want to be anything like those men. And for a long time, I didn't want to. But again, sometimes the curiosity can win us over. Sometimes the stress or different things, or the influence of other people can win, and it did in my case. And that was one of the things that I, to this day, look back and just regret, because no, I didn't want to be. I didn't want to be the man that my father was, because at that time, I mean, he was just an absolutely awful man, a train wreck, and I that was part of me, and I do believe that it didn't make me start using drugs, but it was certainly, just kind of there, right under the, under the belt there, just waiting for the right moment.
So when you identified this problem, knowing that you have a drug addiction, and then kind of comparing that to something that you shared with your father, how was that for you, knowing that there was something that you did share that was similar to what your father shared?
It hurt me to really kind of admit that part of me. It hurt my father, truly, because I will say my father is not the man that he used to be. My father doesn't drink, he doesn't smoke. He's like a couch potato these days. You would never know of his past life, and I'm sure he doesn't want to be reminded of that. But here is one of his only two sons, and now here's his son doing much of what he used to do, and it hurt him greatly. He supported me and supports me now, but I think it was mostly for myself. I just for a long time I just tried to put it in the back of my mind, and then in my later drug use, it was part of what made me, I guess, hate myself at that particular part of my life.
And you mentioned heavier drug use. I know that we spoke about what you moved into, which was more meth, and that is a whole different experience, I would imagine. Yeah.
Yes. It's still it's an upper. It's the drugs again. If you're in the party lifestyle, it's the drugs that keep you going. You got the energy. You're not tired anymore. You can go all night. In cocaine, you got a few hours of a high. With meth, those 4 hours could now be 10, 12 hours, and in some cases it was cheaper. Some cases it was free for me. In a lot of cases it was free, so I didn't even have to spend any money. And I will say with the meth, it's really when I just got really out of control. And I think it's when I saw a seedier side of drug use, because again, the cocaine typically has the cachet of white collar, very fancy drug. I even tell people the story about how I went to some parties where the cocaine was literally served like on a silver platter. It was a very beautiful presentation of this mound of cocaine, but it was still cocaine. Whereas meth, it might be a kind of what you would think of in a movie. This shack of a house in a back corner where some people are doing meth, and here I go and let me get what you guys are having. Even though I think it's disgusting, but I wanted it. And when I got to that point, I was embarrassed. I absolutely did not want anybody to know that part of me. And I would say it became very, very tough to keep up the appearance, to keep up the normalcy of my life, because it just wasn't a priority. Maintaining what normally would be me, it wasn't a priority, and I was very self-destructive.
Yeah, I can imagine that would be very heavy and weigh very heavy on you. Were you still with the news station at that time?
Yes, I believe. Yeah, I think at the very, very end of my contract with the station, because what ended up happening with the contract at the station is that based on my unreliability, not for my job performance, I was great at what I did. I have 2 Emmy Awards. I did a great job, but I wasn't reliable. You couldn't count on me to be at work. You didn't know if I was going to show up or not, or when I might show up. So my contract wasn't renewed, which just kind of added fuel to the fire, and just kind of sending me down this spiral. And at that time, I'd started, experimenting with the meth use. And then all of a sudden, when I was without that job, that was such an important part of my life. It's all I knew, and all of a sudden that's gone. And then I had this time on my hands. I had some money in my pocket. It was a disaster. I was a disaster.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You actually mentioned that you had an experience where you were in the station, passed out, and they were looking for you, and you had missed your own newscast.
Yeah. That's one. I swear to this day, it still. Every time I think about it, just makes me cringe, because I was an anchor at that time. I anchored the weekend news, amazing position to have. I did it for a couple of years, but it was a Saturday or Sunday. I was supposed to be at work. I believe it was the 6 o'clock show, and I think between the 5 and the 6 o'clock, thought I needed a nap, because I was already high, cocaine, but I probably hadn't been asleep in a day or two. So I go to lay down on one of the couches in the back room we had in the dressing area. And, the closer it gets to 6 o'clock, there's no Jeff. Nobody knows where Jeff is, and this is a solo anchor show, so it is just myself a weather meteorologist, and a who else is there? So, oh, and a sports anchor. There is no other anchor to to do the news. I was it. So the closer it got to 6 o'clock, the show, as we know, the show goes on in the news. There is no 6:05. The show still went on at 6 o'clock. I wasn't there. The meteorologist had to jump into my spot. He hadn't read any of the copy. He's not a news anchor. He doesn't know the stories. He may not know. It all of a sudden threw everything into a circus, if you could imagine. I mean, because they're trying to go on with the news, but they're also wondering, where is Jeff? Something obviously must be wrong. And, the show went on. These are coworkers that I put into this position, making them obviously look bad. And, maybe, I guess, 6:45, 7 o'clock, somebody finally stumbled on me in the break room, on the couch, sleeping. And I remember being awakened, and it was like, Jeff, you missed your newscast. It's like, what? What do you mean? Like, yeah, the 6 o'clock newscast. And it was just like, oh my God. I mean, if it wasn't bad enough for the police to be knocking at my door from my station, now everybody knows. Because people at home, they knew something was wrong. This wasn't anything I could hide. I'm not there, and why is the meteorologist doing the news? And so when I left the station that day, everywhere I went, people were asking me, what happened the other day? And the meteorologist, of course, wanted to talk to me about how I made him look so awful. And I mean, it's just, it was bad. It was bad.
That's a lesson for sure, huh? I mean,
yeah.
In this business, sometimes we are going till the last minute before we hop on set. I mean, we might be typing up one of our stories, or if we're also co-producing the show, sometimes we hop on set during the last commercial break. So there's really nothing that people are worrying about behind the scenes in master control, sometimes until that minute, if we're used to doing that, which you and I have both done. We've shared the anchor desk together. We know we've done that. And we were on air during 9/11 together too. So if that takes people back, you go with the flow. But when someone's not on set, I can only imagine that the feeling can be like, worrying about where you are first of all, but then worrying about we've got a newscast that we have to do. You know.
Yeah.
So
I look at it like this. So you think about, for any of the listeners, I mean, on their job, the big presentation of the day, you're going to meet with all the big wigs of the company, and you have to do this presentation. You're the one that's worked hard, and you've got this presentation present, and you don't show up. On any of the listeners' job, think of this big important day on your job, and the point person who's in charge of that day isn't there. What do you do? And to think of the impact that would have on any of our jobs, or, I mean, it was devastating. It was embarrassing.
So at this point, fast forwarding, when you actually did not get renewed, and you had all this time in your hand, you had this money in your hands, and you had a lot of feelings running through you, I'm sure. It's not like you just quit that day. I mean, this is a process, and there's a family that's affected, and this is this trickles down. How did you deal with that, Jeff?
I think it just went. I just tried to just manage my using. That's the way. I didn't try to stop really at that time at all. I just tried to manage it. Do less, do it at different times, hide it better. Things like that. But again, things just kept happening. I told you I totaled that one car when I was using cocaine. When I was using meth, I fell asleep at the wheel in another car and had another accident that could have killed me, could have killed someone. Police could have gotten called, but they didn't. God was truly on my side, because I literally walked away from the accident. My car was hurt, it was damaged badly, but the other vehicle was not. We walked away, and I lived to tell about it. But I had to tell everybody that I think I told everybody I was texting while I was driving. I had a story for everything. Again, relationship, was awful because I just wasn't present. I missed out on so many family functions because I chose to do drugs rather than be with my family. It was just an awful period of my life. And I think I just tried to put drugs in place of what I was lacking. Anything that I was lacking, here I insert drugs. And for a time, that made me feel good. It made me feel whole. It made me feel normal. But when I didn't have it, it was just the opposite.
You actually spent a lot of time in drug court, right? You spent a number of years in drug court.
Yeah, and that only happened because the culmination of all of my drug use ended with my arrest. And again, the other really embarrassing things that happened, they were bad, but still only a segment of people knew what happened. In this instance, not far from my house, I was arrested one night, and just so happened, I had drugs on me. I had drug paraphernalia. I had, I think, 7 warrants out for my arrest for stupid traffic stuff, but yet they were still warrants. They were still cause for a police officer to stop you, frisk you. And being who I am, I've got, whether I was on the news still or not, I still am that same person. And I got arrested, prayed at that time that they just wouldn't recognize who I am. Nobody would, remember this name, and that didn't happen. By the next morning, I was on the front page of the St. Louis newspaper. And I mean, you talk about life-changing. That was life-changing. It was the most gut-wrenching, embarrassing, horrible thing that's ever happened in my life. Because now, the carpet's, the cat's out the bag now. Even though, you're guilty until proven in court, that kind of stuff. But no, people still, you get arrested with meth and a pipe and this and that, and people know that there's something going on.
Yeah, there's a lot of personal there's the inner bully, there's the judgment of ourselves. It's not just the ones judging us, but we can be our own worst bully. Because how do you get out of that? After being arrested, having your face on a different billboard, we're used to being on the other billboards, right, with the news industry. Where was the change? What was the wake-up call? Like, what happened?
So, I got a lawyer, when this happened, I wanted to, because my first reaction was, let me fight these charges, so I got a really high profile attorney who's an awesome guy, but I was going to fight, I was ready to go to battle, and, I was going to have him speak for me and, just get me out of this thing. But I did get this attorney. Mind you, he did it for free. I was telling him, which says something. He came to me and said, Jeff, I'll help you. But when we sat down and talked, he says, this is kind of ugly that you got facing you. And he says, wasn't judging, but he just said, if there's some things going on, maybe this can be an opportunity for you get some things in order. We can, see if we can get you in a drug court, maybe get rid of these charges if you go into a program. And he sold it enough that I'm thinking, oh, okay, yeah, let's do it. But I didn't go willingly. I mean, I still wanted to partake, But, it was an opportunity to, go to drug court. If I complete this very, very difficult program, when I get out, my charges could be ripped up. And so I went. But I'll tell you, when I came into this program, I think the drug program here in the St. Louis city probably has a rate of, I'm going to guess, probably about a 60 to 70% failure rate. I mean, it's a commitment beyond belief. But I went, and I messed up in it for probably the first 6 months. I was sent to jail. One of the consequences of messing up in the program, you go to jail. I spent 3 nights in jail here. I spent 2 nights in jail here. I spent, community service. I was not a willing participant. But then, and beyond that, Hilary, the one thing that I think more than anything is I was so empty at that time of my life. I didn't feel like, I didn't know if I even deserved a chance to do better. I didn't know if I deserved
anything more than just this image of me in a mugshot. Maybe that's just me. I wrestled with whether I wanted to continue living on this earth. I just didn't know if I could get past the shame of what I did, the hurt that I caused people. I didn't love myself anymore. I cringed if I walked somewhere and someone said, "Hey, aren't you that guy?" Because it used to be when they said that, a big smile would come and they'd mean, "Hey, aren't you that guy from the news?" And yeah, I sure am. Now, "Hey, aren't you that guy?" And you're like, "Oh my God, what are they going to say?" And some did say, "Yeah, I saw that in the paper." And I mean, literally, the tears would almost come down my face. And it's just like, "Yeah, thanks." And, I didn't want to leave the house at that time. But slowly, I met people in the program who had been down somewhat of a similar path. I met people who were empathetic, sympathetic, people who were non-judgmental, people who told me that, yeah, you've done some bad, but you have a disease. You need help. You need to do something about this, and you can get better. You can do better. You can pick yourself up. The things I may have heard, but I didn't believe. But after a while, I started believing that.
And it's wonderful that you had the support within the community of those who have been through something similar, but giving credit where credit is due with family. I mean, you have a wonderful partner, Josh, for 10 years now. Yeah.
Yep.
And I remember you recalling that, he saw in you what you couldn't see in yourself.
Yeah.
So how has that been, knowing that you have that kind of support?
Oh, it's been everything. Because I'm such a private person. I've always held so much in until I would want to explode. But when I finally started letting some people in and really believing that they would still be okay with me if I told the truth, if I revealed some things that I'd never shared, if I just said, "Hey, I need help. I want to cry right now, and can I vent right now? Can I tell you something really bad?" And just seeing these people that didn't run from me. They didn't, they ran to me instead of running from, away from me. And on my darkest of days, they, would pat me on the back and say, "You got this, Jeff. You can do it. And you're still an awesome person. You're still talented. You're still very handsome. You're still, you're still a good person." And they would just encourage me to, Josh would make sure he made sure that I went to drug court and made sure that I kept my commitments. I called him when I was in jail. He was my call. It was such an awful experience, but having the support of my mom in particular, Josh and my mom, because my mom is that person. Drugs are foreign to her. She's a former school teacher. She didn't smoke. She didn't drink. She's that person. Here you have my father. But even that, my mother, I'm my mother's baby. And she went from being kind of embarrassed, like any parent would be, to some degree, to being my defender. So that if anyone said something about her son, she had something to say, like back off. And it meant so much to me, and still does. Absolutely.
Yeah. That's what moms are for, right?
Yes.
Oh, good Lord. Yes. Let us send out all the good energy to the mamas out there, because that is the hardest job in the world I can imagine.
Yes.
So you've been sober for over a year now. So congratulations on that. I mean, every day I'm sure is like the first, and it's one step in front of the other.
It is. And Hilary, I have to tell you, I tell people all the time about how all of us around the world are experiencing the impact of coronavirus and all the many aspects of what that has done to our lives. For a person in recovery or struggling with addiction, it's probably, I don't know, tenfold or 100 times more difficult, because we don't like isolation. It's not good for us. We don't like not being able to reach people. Going to an NA meeting through Zoom is not the same as being able to go to an NA meeting and hug people and see people face to face. And it's been awful. It's been awful for me and others like me. And it has truly been a struggle, an absolute struggle. And I've had some really, really bad days. I've had some bad days. I mean, and it almost rather than one day at a time, to me, sometimes it's 1 minute at a time, where I'm, like, oh my God, what am I going to do? What am I, and I manage, but it's hard. It's very, very, very hard. And I really have to go out of my way to, put one foot in front of the other, and just tell myself that things will get better. You got this. You can, and reminding myself that if and when I fall, one of my main messages now is that, again, if and when I fall or you fall, got to get back up. Don't stop. Don't let this moment be the end all. Dust yourself off, get back up, keep going. This is a journey. It's not, the sprint. Keep going, get back in the game. And that's what I tell myself. So yeah, I've had moments. Really bad moments. But look in the mirror and I say, Jeff, you still got this. Tomorrow's gonna be a new day. Get up, go to work. And I've done it over and over and over again. And it's not easy. But at this point in my life, I refuse to give up. I love myself. I accept my past. I accept my shortcomings. I accept a disease that I have that that many people think is awful, disgusting. But I'm human. And the reality is I am that person that many of us know, but just don't know them in behind closed doors. I may be your husband. I may be your wife. I may be the person that you go to church with, that you love so much in church, the person who you send your kids to, that principal that you love. Behind closed doors, we all, believe it or not, we all know somebody who has the disease of addiction.
Yeah, Jeffrey, the reason why you're on this podcast now is because you posted a story that one of the St. Louis papers or magazines did about you, where you shared your story. I had no idea before I reached out to you that you were battling this. I haven't seen you in years. We're connected through social media, and you just never know. I mean, there's the quote out there, you never know what somebody's battles are, right? Not to judge people. We are all going through something, and it's an indication that we have to be careful of our judgment of others. And also we need to be open-minded and open-hearted to the fact that everyone is struggling through something, right?
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, and that was just my whole reason of wanting to come out and just put a face to this whole thing. Because again, it's not the image you normally expect to see, but it's reality.
Yeah. I guess that those are some pretty powerful words too, but I want to leave you with a moment to share, and you already shared some really beautiful advice, but for those who are going through what you might have or still go through because you're still recovering in sobriety, you're always considered, I would imagine there's an addiction there. What would your words be for those who are going through this, and maybe even for those loved ones who have someone that is going through it?
I say, support them, that tough love thing is important. I'm not saying, throw money at, this person who always asks, but I'm saying at least remind this person, remind yourself that you're still loved, you're still worth something, you still are worthy of some dignity, you're still worthy of being respected. And that, as long as you have a willingness to fight, you can at least control this disease, and at some point you can manage this disease. At some point you might be able to overcome this disease, but you got to get in the game. As long as you're on the sidelines and just feeling defeated, you're never going to win. But just for the people who have someone in their family or that they know someone, I think it's just important. You're not supporting their habit or their disease, but just giving that person the feeling that they are just something, that they matter. Just telling them, I love you. And in spite of everything, you can still call me. Maybe I don't have $1 for you, but I've got an ear. I've got a minute to talk to you. I won't let you starve. I love you. And for somebody who doesn't feel loved, for somebody who's contemplating taking their own life, what you say or your sign of support may make all the difference, may keep them alive another day, and may just make them feel like they matter. We all want to feel that way. And, I just tell those of us who deal with this disease and other diseases, keep fighting. I work at a hospital and I deal with cancer patients all the time, and to see what some of them are going through, but to hear sometimes how they say, you know what, I'm not going to give up. I'll do chemo. I'll do whatever it takes. And I think you have to be willing to do whatever it takes, to fight for your life, to fight for someone else's life, to show love. Don't judge. This is not about shaming. This is just about treating people like you would want to be treated, and just being a good person, and just showing people that there is life is worth living, and that good things can come out of bad situation. People who do some bad things can also do some very good things. So that's what I have to say.
I love it. Oh, you're such an inspiration, and it's such a joy to see you.
Thank you.
You're an empowering, inspiring human being, and I am fortunate and feel very lucky to know you, to have shared space with you, to sit next to you for a number of years on the anchor desk, but also to sit next to you here as well. But I do want to, of course, I do want to close with something I do with all my guests, because there's always a little bit of humor with Hilary around, as you know. And I want to do a quick rapid fire with you. I'm going to throw out one word, and I want you to come back with the word that comes to mind, and then we will close this beautiful story of yours.
Okay.
All right. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay, here we go. Life.
Love.
Sobriety.
Peace.
Addiction.
Darkness.
Anchor.
Fame.
Celebrity.
Good times.
Support.
Empowering.
Love.
That's a good one. Gosh, that's a really good one. Everlasting.
That is everything and more, Jeffrey Small. You're a delight. And thank you for sharing your story. Thank you for sharing who you are. And continue doing everything you're doing in the world to live powerfully.
I appreciate this opportunity. I do. This is tremendous.
I support you. I'm behind you, and I love you.
Thank you. I love you too. Thank you so much. All right. Until next time.
Until next time. And until next time, thanks for listening. I'm Hilary Russo, and this is HIListically Speaking. The podcast is produced by Alan Seals with music by Litbone Redding. If you like the conversation, consider subscribing to HIListically Speaking. The show is available on all podcast platforms and even on YouTube. Let me know your thoughts. I'm always listening. And if you have a great topic to share, or you would like to learn more about how to turn your own traumas into triumphs, connect with me. I'd love to support you on your healing journey. You can drop me a line on my website, hilaryrusso.com, or on all social media at Hilary Russo. And let's connect. Because connection is everything, my friend, and it is why I'm here. Because of you. So until next time, be kind to your mind, and don't forget to laugh.